Alright everyone, and welcome back to another Fury Warrior Mythic commentary video. This time it is for Mythic Argus the Unmaker in Antorus the Burning Throne, the last boss. This is basically where I go over the fight from a progression standpoint, go over talent selection, legendary selection, and trinket selection, and try and offer some hints and tips. So, talent selection, we're going to be going with the full single target talents, so that is Endless Rage, Double Time, Avatar, Bounding Stride, Frothing Berserker, Bloodbath, and Reckless Abandon. There could be a case made for taking Warpaint instead of Bounding Stride. The damage in the last phase is quite high, especially if you get chains and with the overlaps of uncontrolled rage. However, I never tried it, so I don't know whether the timings of Heroic Leap kind of work out if it hasn't got the reduced cooldown. I don't know, maybe give it a go, but for me, Bounding Stride was the one I wanted. Legendary selection, again, we're going to be going for the single target, highest DPS one, so that for me is Valajar Berserkers and Soul of the Battle Lord. Trinket selection, I'm going to be using Convergence of Fates and the Pantheon Trinket. There's a reasonable execute phase here. You can get 2 battle cries in, so that's why I'm going for Convergence of Fates, plus it's a big burn part of the fight. As the fight gets shorter during farm, it could open the door for other trinkets, such as a high item level Scourge Wing, but my Convergence is 925. It's very good item level, so for me, that's still best, especially during progress. So, on pull, we're going to be using Old War and then just popping cooldowns into the boss, making sure to get behind him first so that none of the rampages get parried. Otherwise, that's going to affect your rage gen. So as soon as he gets turned around, we turn around as well. And just start doing your single target burst, getting loads of rampages in with Bloodlust going. Now we need to spread briefly before the rage stacks come in. So I always go right leg on first phase. You see I've got 1 stack there from the rage. 1 stack is fine. It doesn't really matter. You can get healed through it quite easily. If you get 2 stacks, you'll need a personal. So with the buffs, I'm going to be collecting the Crit Mastery one to begin with. Just for a few extra seconds before the cone comes in. Then I'm going to get haste first and then move around from the cone. The reason for that is because you don't want to pick up the buff immediately, the one that you want, for the rest of the fight, because if you pick it up immediately, you then have to pick up all the subsequent buffs immediately, which gives you very little time to get to them if they're out of position or you've got Soul Blight or something like that. So I've got the buff to drop there and I've dropped it, and unfortunately I've picked up a 2nd stack of the rage. So I'm going to go out, get my buff, get back to the boss, and then after the Tortured Rage comes in, I'm going to pop Enrage Regeneration just to give the healers a hand and keep myself up. And I've got Soul Blight, so I'm going to get damage from that. I've got 2 stacks. It's kind of getting a little bit hairy, so I'm going to be a bit selfish here and pop Commanding Shout as well. As soon as that's done, I'm going to move out of that, grab my buff on the way. All my cooldowns are up now, so I'm going to second pot here with Avatar, Battle Cry, 3 buffs, spread so the rages and the fears come in, and then just start pumping damage. Your phase 1 damage is largely going to come from a little bit of luck. You can quite easily get either rage casts on you or soul blights or anything like that, which means that you can't collect your 4 stack of buffs, and that just ruins your DPS. And also your trinket procs as well. If you can get decent trinket procs during Battle Cry, your damage will skyrocket. So again there, buffs get dropped, you've got time to collect them, walk out, get it, back in, move around for the cone, and then just start trying to pump damage. Battle Cry's back up, so I'm just going to pump it straight away. I've got Rage here, so making sure the raid isn't near me, and then getting as close to the boss as possible, just about in melee range there. And the little tip here is you can use Leap to go over the raid and not give anyone any stacks from being in your rage circle. Fantastic for the last phase, fantastic for the first phase. Well, all the phases. It's good for all the phases. So in phase 2, my spread spot is going to be on the left-hand leg. So before the rage casts and the fear casts come in, I'm going to be generally on the left-hand leg. You want to be having your positions kind of set so that you know where everyone's going to be, you know where you need to be. And then, so I haven't got anything, move into the middle to get into his fear so he doesn't get any stacks. Battle Cry's off cooldown, use Battle Cry, and then I'd usually have my rallying cry for that bomb explosion, but I used mine in phase 1. Didn't turn out too bad in the end. Everyone survived, so that's good. And then this phase is basically about just tunneling the boss. Avatar, I'm going to use that a few seconds before Battle Cry's off cooldown because it's 20 seconds. Battle Cry's 7. Battle Cry's come off there with Berserking, so now I'm going to use it and pump damage. And this is basically just a case of avoiding the scythes coming across the floor, which we haven't had any come through the rage yet, but the timing of them, by the time they spawn, you can get about 1 or 2 casts, move out of them, it'll go past, move back in, and you've only missed 1 GCD if you can time it properly. So I've been quite lucky here, and I've had very few mechanics on me. Parry there somehow, even though I'm behind the boss. So the next cast of the Rages is coming in, so I'm going to spread back to my spot again, just getting some space. So Rage on the left, I need to move away from that. I picked up a stack, making sure to avoid the Scythe, and then moving in. Like I say, one stack isn't the end of the world. You can get healed through it relatively easily. Same goes with the last phase, but 2 stacks and you're in trouble. 3, you're pretty much dead. Now with the cleave from the boss, you're generally safe if you're kind of 90 degrees to the tank. So I've got the soul bomb on me now. So because you're a warrior, you can stay in for healing and then literally just leap out to the last second and get as little downtime as possible. Charging in, make sure I'm not going to go through a rage person. Rage is this kind of square looking circles, fear is the circular ones. And then I'm just going to stay in here and go a bit ham to try and transition the boss, which worked out good. And now we wait while we res for a minute. The reason why we all group up and die there is because the quicker you die, the quicker your potions start to come off cooldown. So we want the potions up basically for the next phase. Something I should say as well about leaping over the scythe lines is that you can still get hit by them if it comes past as you're going over. So if you've got the bomb and you need to get to a side and you see a line spawn, you want to leap over it as soon as possible if your bomb's gonna explode, you know, as you need to leap over it, because you could get swiped and killed. You can get bopped if you get hit by it, which is quite handy. I think I might actually get clipped later on, so you might see it. Some terrible memes there as well, insane. Now this last phase is going to be about killing the modules, not getting hit by scythes, spreading when the rages come in, and generally good positioning. Like I said earlier, my spot to be safe will be on the left leg. So releasing spirit, running through, making sure we don't get hit by anything in the tree. Make sure to re-rune, charge, second pot, and then just start pumping CDs. I'm not going to bother waiting for, you know, Bloodlust later on in the fight, because we'll die again, and when you die again, you can repot. So we'll have another pot for Bloodlust. Making sure to be behind the boss for the cleave as he turns around. And then just getting as much damage in as possible whilst Avatar's up. Now the scythes are coming in, so we're going to be stacking on top of the scythes. I'm going to get a quick rampage and run out again. And then, like I said, mine is the left leg, so I want to be in charge distance, get a good charge off, move around to his left leg, and then once the casts are in, get back into the middle. So we've got a rage on each side, all the fears in the middle. Make sure I get my Odin's Fury onto the module, and then just tunnel the module, basically. Module damage is important. You can only really tunnel the boss as a warrior when he gets to 20%, and you obviously want to be executing. So make sure to get an execute cast on that or two for a luckier Soul of the Battle Lord proc, and I have, so I've got a free rampage. I'm going to put them both into the boss. And then just keep tunneling the boss. So Battlecry is going to come off here, and I'm just going to use it straight away, not bother waiting for Avatar. If you're lucky, you can get like a really good reset and get an Avatar cast before you do the mass suicide, if Convergence procs Battlecry enough times. But we'll see if that happens here. I can't quite remember if it does. So we've got the module coming in again soon, so I'm just going to be tunneling the module. And I'm going to make the decision here to Avatar, because we've got 10 seconds left on Battlecry, and actually it's come off really quick there, which has been a really nice... it means I've got Avatar in this phase, and just dodging the cleave there on the left-hand side. I think I lose about 4 seconds on Avatar in total, which is... No, I don't lose any, which is fantastic. So like you can see there, I'm basically in the animation of the cleave, but it is dodgeable. You know, you have to be quite... if you're at the boss's feet, you have to be quite far in front of it to get cleaved. If you drift away from it quite a bit in front of the boss, then you'll get cleaved. So resing there, and then just going to Battlecry straight into the boss. Not going to bother saving it for the module, because our boss damage is becoming more important here. Kind of when you start this phase, you think, okay, module damage is important. But then as you get later on, the enrage gets tight, and you realize, okay, maybe I'm going to start putting my cooldowns into the boss instead of not lose that bloodbath dot damage. Again, getting casts of execute on the module there before moving off of it to get some free one free rampage, and just getting as much damage into the boss as possible. So Avatar has come off cooldown here, but the scythes are coming up, which means it's very likely I'm going to have to be forced out of melee range during Avatar if I use it. So I've chosen to save it because we're going to need to spread after this. So again, I'm going to be in charge distance and then spread. My rage is on me. I've popped cooldowns and I'm going to leap across the other side because there's space on his right leg. There's a melee behind me. I need to get to the other side, and the safest way to do that is simply to leap. You kind of have to be careful though, because if you leap, the chains come in and you need to break your chain. It's nearly impossible on that right hand side to get through the raid and break your chain safely. So you have to wait for the chain cast to come in before you leap. Otherwise you can't then break your chain effectively. So again, just following the boss up, making sure not to clip the raid on the left hand side, but also not to be in the cleave on the right. Now I've got 3 orbs coming in, which is dangerous. So I'm going to pop Enrage Regeneration, take one of them, the tank took the others, which is quite a fortunate save actually. Because there's nowhere really to run and hide. You either get cleaved on the right, kill the raid on the left, or fog behind you, or take all the orbs. So nice personal CD there, and you can at least take 1 orb. So now we're going to be spreading again. There's a rage there. I've taken 1 stack, but not the end of the world, as we're going to have healing cooldowns rolling now. And we're getting towards 20% now. So Avatar's off soon, but I know I'm only going to get 1 Avatar cast in the whole of the execute phase. So I'm just going to battle cry and then start putting executes into the boss. Execute, rampage, free rampage proc. And then just keep following the boss. I haven't used my second pot during, well, my third pot actually. I haven't used my third pot during Bloodlust because I want to save it for Avatar. So, oh no, there we go. We've got Bloodlust now. Brilliant. Which is coming up fantastically for me. I've got Avatar coming up. I've got Battle Cry off cooldown. I don't think I'm going to get another Battle Cry, so I'm actually just going to hold it for a second. And then, like other kills, this is a progression kill, so I'm not going to really be cutting it close with that last Avatar cast. I just want to get the damage in as safe as possible, relatively early, because it could be a kill. I don't want to die and still have my cooldowns on cooldown, otherwise that's no damage. So as you can see, you really start to ramp up, 2 million now. I think we came into here at like 1.7 mil DPS. And as I said, that extra battle cry at the end, it just doesn't quite happen. So we're just going to tunnel the boss and kill it. Making sure to dodge the orbs and dodge the orbs. 3 seconds left on battle cry. If he'd been alive a fraction longer, then I would have had extra DPS, but yeah. Alright, hopefully you found that useful. Like I said, phase 1 DPS, it can be really finicky. Sometimes you do fantastically when you get good trinket procs and when you have very few mechanics on you and you can get 4 buffs and a decent, second pot. Otherwise, be sensible with dropping Soul Blight. Don't drop it where the cone's going to be. Drop the buffs, away from each other so other people can pick them up easily. And if you get the rage, make sure you're stacked on the edge so that the raid can stack in the middle. Phase 2, pretty straightforward. Dodge the sides, spread for the rages, and you can leap out to drop your bomb and get extra uptime on the boss. And then phase 3 is all about module damage, positioning, spreading for the rage targets, and then hoping you don't get chains or anything in the last phase so that you can just execute freely, and timing that last Avatar as best as possible. And of course, saving leap to jump over the raid in a sticky situation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That wraps it up for the tier. It's all over. It's all done. So I'm not really quite sure what video is going to be coming out in the near future, but watch this space. Anyway, cheers. See ya. One last thing, you can catch me on my stream on Koban_25 in the meantime.